When they got to his room, Woosung turned on his laptop and started the Visual Studio. Woosung pointed at the code. You need to work with this part that says to do. Amelia nodded. /to do, /. Beside it was an explanation of what the function needed to do. Check QoS to guarantee the subscription to the topic. What do you think? Can you do it? Woosung asked as he turned to Amelia. Go Sangjun glanced at the code as well. Let me see. Amelia hummed and answered. Amelia studied everything carefully. After 10 minutes, she closed her eyes. Woosung opened his mouth to try to help. Let me give you a few hints. This function needs to. Before Woosung could finish his sentence, Amelia opened her eyes and placed her hands on the keyboard. Woosung asked uncertainly. Ms. Amelia? Type. Type. Amelia started to hum again with an excited grin. Ha! I think I got it. Quality of service. If you increase the quality, the speed goes down, and if you increase the speed, the performance goes down. Amelia explained as she continued to type. The transmission to MQTT broker seems inadequate. In MQTT, the server was basically the broker. Just from looking at the codes on the client's side and the to-do list, Amelia understood the task easily. If I can do this, you really promise to show me the codes on the server side too? If you can sign the non-disclosure agreement and the future employee contract, then yes. Amelia felt sheer excitement run through her veins. I can't wait to see it. Let's hurry up. She acted like an eager schoolgirl, but the quality and speed of her work were out of this world. She was better and faster than Woosung, who came from the future. She was a genius. Coding seemed to come naturally to her. She typed without hesitation. The protocol itself is simple. I want to look into the IMB research you mentioned earlier at the seminar. Even when she was talking, she didn't stop typing. Wow, I really like this. She chatted happily while Woosung and Go Sangjun stared in awe. The to-do list was filled faster than any of them have expected. Amelia was beyond Woosung's wildest dream. For the rest, I need to know how the broker works. I finished what I could with knowing the client codes. Shall we test it? It took less than 2 hours. It would have taken me at least 2 to 3 days. Go Sangjun was still staring at Amelia, who smiled and urged Woosung. Test. Do the test. All right. Genius. She was a coding genius. The test was a success. Woosung wrote out a quick agreement. I will not reveal anything about this code to anyone or any company. After the internship ends at Microsoft, I will join Woosung's company. After she signed it, Woosung showed her the codes. As she studied them, she exclaimed. She also made some helpful suggestions. By the time they were done, it was 2 in the morning. It was dark outside. It's too late for you to get back home. I will get a room for you for tonight. Woosung offered Amelia. Actually, I won't get any sleep tonight anyway, so could I work on this code? You guys can go to bed. I'll just keep this lamp on. Woosung thought he heard her wrong. What? If you are uncomfortable with a stranger working on your codes, then I understand. No, that's not what I meant. Are you saying you want to work on the codes all night? Amelia nodded eagerly. You have to work tomorrow, so wouldn't this affect your performance tomorrow? That's not a problem. My supervisor said I can do whatever I want to. Oh. Woosung could understand why. He would have said the same thing. A genius like her didn't need a supervisor to hover over her. Woosung felt a huge respect for her. I guess it's not possible. She frowned. Woosung replied quickly. Nope. You are welcome to improve them as you see fit. Just remember the non-disclosure agreement. Amelia smiled brightly. Okay. Then I can get to work. Yup. She quickly quieted down and focused on the screen. Woosung turned the light off and went to sleep. The next day. Woosung woke up in the middle of the day. Amelia was already gone. A note was left on top of the laptop. I changed a little bit of the structure and left an explanation. The core protocol and format pub/sub remain unchanged, of course. You did an amazing job. I can't wait to work for you. I will call you when my internship ends. Woosung has never met someone like her before. Coding nerd. Woosung was in desperate need of someone like her. I better make sure she keeps her promise. Go Sang-joon was already on his way back to Korea. Jonathan Logan hasn't called him yet. There was no reason for Woosung to stay here any longer. His next stop was New York. The first place Woosung visited in New York was the Charging Bull. I better find a good lawyer first. If he asked Jang Guangchul, he would have recommended a good lawyer, but Woosung wanted to keep this a secret. The prospect of having the future changed if more people knew about it worried Woosung so. The next 4 months will be very important. Many people already felt the upcoming danger. The news in both US and Korea hinted the inevitable financial crisis. No one could tell exactly what, when, and how it will happen. Except for Woosung. A few months later. This is breaking news on CNN. Lehman Brothers filed for the bankruptcy. The stock market has halted. The financial world is in a huge turmoil. Finally, what Woosung waited for happened. Hello. This is reporter Jo Hoon-young on YTT. Lehman Brothers reported losses of $2.8 billion and was forced to sell off $6 billion in assets. Lehman was the 4th largest banking investor in the U.S. After it filed for bankruptcy, the global markets immediately plummeted. Currently, Kospi index is at its lowest of 1300. The future of the financial world remains dark and uncertain. Click. Shin Semi turned off the TV with the remote. I can't believe Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy. Even after hearing it on the news, she still couldn't believe it. The experts believed this would never happen. The researchers at Nuri Finances agreed too. However, it did happen despite everyone's prediction. It was a shocking event that shook the world. It didn't only affect the US, but the entire world. It was unbelievable. Shin Semi grabbed her phone. She remembered Woosung's words. Risk management, New Century Financial's bankruptcy, and the Finances Lab researcher Kim Man-soo's report. Did he mean this? Shin Semi was almost sure Woosung knew this financial crisis would happen. She became even more curious about him. She frowned and murmured. I wonder what he's doing. Her sources told her that he participated in the Microsoft MVP Global Summit in abroad and hasn't returned yet. Should I call him? She was tempted, but she stopped herself. What was he doing in America? She wondered. September 12. Dow Jones started at 11429 and finished at 11421. Woosung purchased a mass number of put options. After Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy on September 15, the Dow Jones Index went down to 10,700. The U.S. market was in panic and Woosung's options value soared. What Woosung purchased was a put option, an option to sell assets at an agreed price on or before a set date. Dow Jones option unit was a point. 1 point's value, which was called a tick value, was worth $10. This meant for each option, $7,290 were earned this day. 11429, 10700, asterisk 10 equals 7290. Woosung checked his account. Proceeds plus 1.42 million. Proceeds plus 1.96 million. Proceeds plus 2.82 million. The value of his September 11420 put option went up at an unprecedented rate. The index would go down even more, which meant the option value would increase. However, Woosung also knew very well of the technical rebound. Proceeds plus 4.71 million. So far, he had $4.7 million. It was almost 10 times what he originally had, which was about $500,000. Woosung murmured. What a crazy world. His heart beat fast. It was still hard to believe that the large number on the screen was really his money. It felt surreal, but it was going to be even better. Soon, the Federal Reserve will provide an $85 billion loan to AIG to prevent its bankruptcy. And then, the US market will plummet even further, and my put options worth will be. Woosung couldn't even imagine the number. September 19th. After the September put option deadline ended, Woosung bought December 11200 put options. Soon, the news he was expecting came. Further plunging of Dow Jones Index. September 30th 10850. October 2nd 10,482. October 6th 9955. Woosung did a quick calculation. 11,200 to 9,955, asterisk 10 equals $12,540. Each option was worth over $10,000. What the F asterisk CK? Adams, who worked at a U.S. hedge fund company, was losing his mind. He believed after the Fed's bailout, the index would return to normal. That was why he took the put option seller position. It was the opposite position of Woosung. Adams' eyes were red as he stared at the computer screen. He was frowning harshly. His supervisor came up to him. Adams, what's the damage you caused today? Adams couldn't answer. It was a rhetorical question anyway, as the supervisor already knew the number very well. I understand you are speechless. It is so much money, but it's understandable. It's the world's financial crisis after all. Of course, there are always people who still make money off of such a bad time. The supervisor's voice was sharp. Adams cringed. Like the one who bought your put options. Adams knew what was coming. It's unfortunate that you couldn't be the one who made the money. We could have worked together longer. It's disappointing. He was being let go. Adams tensed. It was over. With the way things were in the world right now, it was unclear when he would be able to find another job. Please leave as soon as possible. Adams sighed. Woosung was watching the news. All his put option contracts were expired now. Current index is 8,800. It will go down further. Based on Woosung's memory, the world didn't recover from this event until the end of 2008. However, Woosung remembered to be smart, not greedy. The way he saw it now, he had enough money to last a lifetime. Indeed, with these amount of money, he could finally put a stop on his money maker. He checked his account balance. Proceeds plus $791.5 million. With only $500,000, he made close to $800 million in just over a month. I love America. The money was in the American business account. If he combined the money he made from the Korean market, he expected it to be close to $1 billion. Now I need to go to Silicon Valley to meet Jonathan Logan. After that, I can return to Korea. Woosung relaxed at last. His body was aching, so he called for a massage from the hotel room service. A blonde masseuse knocked and walked in. Woosung closed his eyes as he enjoyed the massage. He has been in America for 4 months now. In the beginning, he stayed at a cheap motel and ate fast food. Now, he stayed at a hotel suite and ordered room services. So many things changed in 4 months. It was a stressful 4 months. He kept doubting his memories on the index numbers and dates. It was a difficult time, but it was all worth it. The memories of his previous life served him well. With this money, I should buy a factory in Silicon Valley. I will fill it with computers and mine Bitcoin. Jonathan Logan. Woosung was able to hire this Arduino project committer. Woosung asked him to find a suitable factory. Things were working out as he planned. After the 2-hour massage, Woosung headed to the hotel restaurant. As he ordered steak, he couldn't help but miss his mother's cooking. "I'm coming, Mother." He couldn't help but smile as the face of his dearest mother flashed through his memory. He would be home very soon. Jang Guanchul and Hong Soo-bum chatted at their new office. Hong Soo-bum quit his job at Nexter a few weeks prior. "When is he coming back?" "He said he'll be here soon, so we just need to be patient." "What did he say?" "The last time I heard, he said he was about to leave New York." Jang Guangchul sighed. "The financial world is dying, yet he is traveling. He is our CEO, so he should act like one." "Well, he bought a significant portion of the company from you, so I assume he is really serious about this company." "I wondered about that. Where did he get the money? What was he doing in New York in the middle of the global financial crisis?" Jang Guangchul sighed again. Hong Soo-bum was interested in the answer too. Woosung had been in America for the past 4 months. U.S. stock market went through hell during that time and the world was in an uproar. "I am curious too. He also asked me to find a factory that could generate and use a lot of electricity." "I heard too. I assume he plans to manufacture the smartphones there, but didn't he say we should use OEM for the actual production?" "I don't understand him at all." As Jang Guangchul continued, he started to get even more frustrated. "And the company he created in Silicon Valley, that cost a lot of money. Why did he do that?" Hong Soo-bum murmured. "I have to admit that Jonathan Logan is a true expert at hardware development. I don't know much about it, but when I looked at the POC he sent, it looked great." "Well, he better be damn good. Do you know how much I'm paying him?" Woosung promised an excellent salary and scouted Jonathan. The monthly wage was currently being paid by Jang Guangchul. He asked Hong Soo-bum. "How about that girl Amelia? She is a genius. I realize they cost a lot of money, but they are definitely worth it. I don't know how our CEO found and hired these great people. I am curious too." Today was November 1st. It was the 5th month since Woosung left to go to America. In the plane to San Francisco, Woosung read the paper on Bitcoin. 1. Introduction. Commerce on the Internet has come to rely almost exclusively on financial institutions serving as trusted third parties to process electronic payments. While the system works well enough for most transactions, it still suffers from the inherent weaknesses of the trust-based model. Non-reversible transactions are not really possible since financial institutions cannot avoid mediating disputes. The cost of mediation increases transaction costs, limiting the minimum practical transaction size and cutting off the possibility for small casual transactions. There is a broader cost in the loss of ability to make non-reversible payments for non-reversible services. The site address is http://bitcoin.org/bitcoin.pdf. In his previous life, he had to read the translated version of this report, but that was not necessary anymore. Woosung could understand English well now. 2. Transactions. The only way to confirm the absence of a transaction is to be aware of all transactions. In the mint-based model, the mint was aware of all transactions and decided which arrived first. Woosung already knew how Bitcoin's transaction worked, but reading it again was a good refresher. It was believed that the more Bitcoins were mined, the slower it was because of transactions. The confirmation of every transaction. Mining implied that transaction has occurred. It was a transaction in a sense that when coin A was mined, it was sent to the miner B. The problem was that it took time to confirm the legitimacy of every transaction. 6. Incentive. By convention, the first transaction in a block is a special transaction that starts a new coin owned by the creator of the block. Woosung read on with interest. The act of mining equaled calculation. Participants who contributed to this calculation was rewarded with Bitcoin. Woosung also read the core code for blockchain towards the end of this section. 11. Calculations. The race between the honest chain and an attacker chain can be characterized as a binomial random walk. The success event is the honest chain being extended by one block, increasing its lead by +1, and the failure event is the attacker's chain being extended by one block, reducing the gap by -1. The probability of an attacker catching up from a given deficit is analogous to a gambler's ruin problem. Suppose a gambler with unlimited credit starts at a deficit and plays potentially an infinite number of trials to try to reach break-even. We can calculate the probability he ever reaches break-even, or that an attacker ever catches up with the honest chain, as follows. Satoshi Nakamoto also included detailed codes. Woosung knew these but re-examined them anyway. Woosung felt the need to know everything about Bitcoin because it was the reason why he was murdered and reborn. If there was no such a thing as Bitcoin, Choi Gichul wouldn't have created a trading company. They would have never met, and Woosung wouldn't have been murdered. It also meant that Woosung would have never made this much money. Bitcoin was the end of his life, but it also was a new beginning for him. Woosung finally read the last section. 12. Conclusion. We have proposed a system for electronic transactions without relying on trust. We started with the usual framework of coins made from digital signatures, which provides strong control of ownership, but is incomplete without a way to prevent double spending. To solve this, we proposed a peer-to-peer network using proof of work to record a public history of transactions that quickly becomes computationally impractical for an attacker to change if honest nodes control a majority of CPU power. Online P2P transaction. With the peer-to-peer networking, it eliminated any bank fees and therefore distributed the power to everyone else. It was an incredible system. Woosung wondered how Satoshi Nakamoto came up with the idea. Even in 2018, Satoshi Nakamoto was still a mystery. The reason behind the invention of Bitcoin was never revealed. Woosung hoped that he would get a chance to meet him someday. It was a 6-hour flight, but Woosung found it easy because he took the first class. As soon as he arrived, he took the cab to the office downtown. In the office, Jonathan Logan and other developers were present, working as hard as they can. It was November. The Android operating system was already released in September. In Korea, Woosung's people were focusing on the development of Coconut app. Jonathan Logan saw Woosung and approached him. "Aaron, you're here. Long time no see. It has already been 2 months. I thought you forgot about us." Jonathan joked. "How could I? You guys are working on an amazing product that will beat iPhone." Jonathan grabbed his chest and replied. "Wow, so much pressure. I better work harder." "No worries. I know you are already doing your best." When in New York, Woosung received regular reports from Jonathan, but he hadn't had the chance to examine them carefully. "I found a factory you asked for. It's situated about an hour from here. It was easy to find, and the price dropped because of the financial crisis. Should we go now? Can I talk to Amelia for a second before we leave?" Woosung looked around. He saw her, but she was so focused on the screen that she didn't notice him approaching her. For thread local variable must be a constant expression. Error messages appeared on the screen. Amelia was asked to build a Bitcoin development source, but it seemed like she was having a hard time. She was frowning. "Did you install Ubuntu, open source Linux distribution, 8.04 LTS version? Or did you end up with the most recent version 8.10? Woosung asked, but there was no answer. It seemed like Amelia was in her own little world. Woosung put his hand on her shoulder. "Amelia." "Oh, Aaron. Hi." Amelia finally turned around. "You installed the latest version, didn't you? It's not working because of that. Check it." Amelia checked Ubuntu version. As Woosung suggested, it was the 8.10. Amelia's eyes widened. "You're right. How did you know? I had a look at it on my way here. Have you looked at the report and the codes yet? Amelia nodded. Do you think you can optimize it to GPU? The mining of Bitcoin started with CPU and later improved to GPU. In Woosung's previous life, ASIC was being used by 2018. GPU was better and faster than CPU, while ASIC was better than the other two. Woosung asked Amelia to convert the program to use GPU. Amelia nodded with an empathetic expression. I think so. Great. I need to go check out the factory, but I'll be back to talk to you later. On his way to the factory, Woosung saw the effects of the financial crisis. For sale. The signs were everywhere. Up to 40% of Silicon Valley population lost their jobs. The factory Woosung bought was also a foreclosed property. The crisis has devastated the country. I guess it worked to our advantage. The factory was dirt cheap. Jonathan Logan, who was driving, explained. I see. Look at all those for sale signs. Haha. The price of the houses plummeted. At least our employees love it since they can easily afford to buy now. Someone's loss was always another person's gain. I'm glad. Woosung felt lucky. In his previous life, he could have never become rich. However, in this new life, things were very different. The factory was actually being used to manufacture premium PDAs. It went bankrupt though, that is why it was on the market. PDA, or Personal Digital Assistant, was a palm-top computer and personal organizer popular before the invention of smartphones. Jonathan continued quickly. They actually offered to sell equipment and materials for cheap too. Since we would use the place to manufacture smartphones anyway, I think it may be a good idea. Okay. I'll have a look. For sale by owner. The sign surrounded the factory. A few people were already waiting outside. Woosung walked towards them and greeted. Hello. My name is Aaron Kang. Nice to meet you. I'm Ellie Robinsky. She was a young woman in her early 30s. Woosung was surprised at how young the owner of such a big factory was. Ellie Robinsky noticed Woosung's disbelief and explained. I'm not some young genius entrepreneur. I just inherited it from my father. Let me show you around. Ellie opened the door. The factory was well maintained. Every machine was spotless and shining. Ellie patted them with the utmost affection. There was a time when we had such big orders that we needed even more machines. Unfortunately now, they rest. Woosung thought gladly. They are perfect for mining bitcoins. If I get 2 more factories in Korea, I should be able to mine 10,000 BTC per day from all 3 factories. The more bitcoins were mined, the slower it became to produce. By 2018, a person could mine at most 1 per month, even with ASIC. However, it was different now. With CPU, at least 1 could be mined per day. With GPU, more could be mined. I heard you plan to manufacture cell phones. The actual chips may be different, but other equipment should be very similar. Ellie continued. Woosung remained deep in his thoughts. I also heard the electricity is about 30% cheaper here than Korea. It's a perfect place for mining. Woosung grinned. He planned to have 500 computers here and another 500 in Korea. In a year, he expected to mine 3 million bitcoins. 3 million times 20,000 is equal to 60 billion. 60 billion. Of course, this was the best scenario. Woosung knew he may not be able to mine this with this much efficiency. He also knew he won't be able to sell all of his bitcoins at the highest price. It didn't matter. The opportunities were endless. Jonathan asked Woosung. Aaron, what do you think? Woosung answered. I like it. I especially appreciate how the owner took such good care of it. Me too. Then should we go ahead with the purchase? Woosung nodded and approached Ellie. I am happy with what I saw. Can we talk about the purchase agreement? The contract was signed by late evening that day. Jonathan offered to drop Woosung off at the hotel, but Woosung insisted on going back to the office. Everyone was gone except for one. As Woosung suspected, Amelia was still at the office. She was sitting there alone, murmuring to herself. This isn't it. This would be better for security but for the possibility of future expansion. To confirm transactions easily, it's better if I. Amelia was so focused that she again didn't notice Woosung. Growl. Suddenly, her stomach growled loudly. Amelia finally stretched her arms. Now, where is my sandwich? As she looked around, she noticed Woosung. Oh, Aaron. The office was dead quiet. Amelia asked. You must still have more work to do. I told you I'll be back. Oh, right. Haha. I'm glad you're here. I have a few things I need to ask you. Do you have time? I feel like you might know the answers. As she talked, her stomach growled again. Amelia didn't seem to notice though. She pointed at the codes. If you can see here, the Bitcoin block size turns into 1 megabyte. This will be a problem when the number of transactions increases. I don't know why it's set up like this. She was amazingly dedicated. Hunger didn't seem to bother her. She was actually enjoying her work. Woosung pointed at the sushi he brought. Weren't you about to have dinner? I brought us something to eat. Amelia was more interested in work though. Oh, do you know the answer? Woosung nodded. In 2018, this problem was discussed extensively by many developers. Wow. Tell me now. Amelia begged but Woosung pointed at the plastic bag. Dinner first. Amelia grabbed the bag. Then we need to eat fast. Afterward, I can ask more questions, right? Woosung nodded. She gulped down everything in front of her. When she was done, she asked Woosung. So, why this limitation? The biggest reason is DDoS, distributed denial of service. As you probably have noticed, if someone created a block that developed unlimited bitcoins, the system will be shut down. I see that, but 1 megabyte is so small. You'll see when we run the test. It takes about 1 kilobyte for every 3 transactions. 1 megabyte would be enough for over 3,000 transactions. The purpose of the system was only to confirm online P2P transactions. This would be perfect. Amelia nodded. So you're saying this is not the final product? Exactly. The purpose of this wasn't to make a perfect system, but to make something that will prove the concept. Amelia understood perfectly. In 2018, many developers worked on Bitcoin and came up with a similar conclusion. Bitcoin wasn't perfect. That was why the second and third generations of cryptocurrency were born. Amelia pointed at a code and asked. Then would this automatic transaction based on the conditions be the same case? Woosung looked at where Amelia pointed. She was correct. It had a similar problem. By 2018, Ethereum was created to fix this. Woosung answered in an almost lazy-sounding relaxed tone. Yes, but also it is a block structure problem too. Amelia couldn't understand. But then why not charge a fee for every loop? Once there is a certain number of it, then we can block the transactions. Woosung flinched. This was exactly what he was going to tell her. By 2018, a smart contract was developed for this problem. It was a computer protocol intended to facilitate, verify, or enforce the negotiation of a contract. She is definitely a genius. I better study harder and try to keep up. You're right, Amelia. If that kind of fee system is implemented, it will improve the situation, but as I said earlier, there are many other problems with this version anyway. Woosung continued before Amelia could say anything. He wanted to show her that he knew better than she did. Many other issues include slowing down of the system as time passes and depletion of bitcoins, which will, in turn, decrease consumers' interest. Amelia adjusted her glasses. Well, I still find it very interesting. It's truly an innovative idea. Amelia's eyes shined in excitement. Woosung could feel her true joy at discovering and learning new technology. You seem like you're enjoying yourself. Huh, do I look too excited? No. It's nice to see you having fun. He meant it. Amelia asked a few more questions. Woosung answered them using the information he knew from 2018. Amelia looked at him with respect. Phew, I think that's it for now. I will get back to work. Woosung looked at his watch in shock. It was past 9 p.m. and Amelia was still planning to work. Aren't you going home? Amelia checked the time and answered coolly. It's only 9 p.m. I live next door, so it's fine. Woosung continued to stare at her with an obvious look of astonishment. He has never met someone like Amelia before. She rubbed her hands and murmured. Huh, now let's really get into it. Woosung was still sitting beside her, but she didn't seem to notice. Unlike her, Woosung was tired after a long day. He stood up quietly and headed to his hotel. CPU. GPU. ASIC. These were 3 levels of circuits for mining different cryptocurrencies. CPU was the slowest, followed by GPU. ASIC was known to be the fastest. You could think of CPU as a single van transporting a person, a piece of equipment, or an animal to a destination. On the other hand, GPU was like a group of buses transporting people to the destination. Finally, ASIC was a group of buses transporting people but using the bus lane. It was no wonder ASIC was the fastest mining system. It was designed specifically for mining. Woosung would have loved to work on creating ASIC, but he was already busy working on the smartphone project. He had to be satisfied with GPU mining for now. In theory, Woosung could start mining using CPU, but in his previous life, the very first block was produced on January 3rd. Woosung worried that if he started mining now, it may change the future. He had to wait just to be safe. He planned to start mining on January 4th. The very first block will remain to Satoshi Nakamoto's, but I will eventually become the one with the most bitcoins. He could end up with 1 million, 3 million, or even 5 million bitcoins. Woosung also planned on gathering other cryptocurrencies including Ethereum, Ripple, and EOS. GPU core was currently Amelia's responsibility, while Woosung worked on developing mining servers. He focused on making it simple and easy to use. Woosung had worked on web screen development countless times in his previous life, so this was a piece of cake for him. Woosung's next focus was daytime trading. Woosung knew the stock market trend well from his previous life. He especially was familiar with the stock price history of Nuri Corporation. Let's see. Today is November 14th. Nuri Corp is currently worth $13.50, and it will soon become $15. So I should buy $1 million of it. Transaction completed. Transaction completed. Transaction completed. Because Woosung was buying a large quantity, his order was completed in multiple separate transactions. Every time a part of his order was filled, the alarm on his cell phone rang. Now I should place an order to sell the stocks automatically when the price reaches $15. That would make it 11% profit. In only a week, Woosung would make $100,000. For something like this, he didn't even need the algorithm trading system. And there is one more stock I need to buy. Let's see. How much is it today? One of the stocks Woosung remembered well was Pine Tech. It was a small PDA manufacturing company. In his past life, its stock price skyrocketed when there was a rumor of it developing an Android OS. At the time, CDMA, Code Division Multiple Access, was not supported, so it could not be released in Korea. However, with the rumor alone, the stock soared in a short period of time. Woosung remembered Kim Yong-gun talking about how he should have bought it. In his previous life, Kim Yong-gun's non-stop talk about this stock was annoying, but now Woosung felt appreciative. Woosung started buying the Pine Tech stock at the price of only 70 cents. He couldn't buy too much of it all at once in case someone suspected an insider trading. At 70 cents, he bought $100,000 of it. At 74 cents, he bought $100,000 of it. At 80 cents, he bought $200,000 of it. At 90 cents, he bought $200,000 of it. Woosung took his time with it. Soon, the stock price reached $1. And finally, the news he has been waiting for came. Pine Tech Android CDMA technology development is underway. The development wasn't even complete, yet the price went up to $4 quickly. Daeyong Technology Supply Contract is underway. LT Technology Supply Contract is underway. When the rumors of Daeyong and LT's interest in Pine Tech started, the stock price soared further to $20. There should be more news coming soon. By this time, Woosung held a total of $5 million of stocks. Compared to how much he made during the financial crisis, this was not a lot of money. Woosung continued nonetheless. It felt like a fun game to him. The future happened as he expected. December 1st. Pine Tech Android CDMA technology development is underway. With this news, the stock price reached its peak. The next day, it started to decline. Woosung knew how things were going to work out, so he started to purchase even more stocks. Since he placed big orders, the price held and stopped falling. In October during the financial crisis, Woosung found every day stressful. The potential benefit was huge, but the risk was big as well. With the game of put options, it was possible for Woosung to suddenly go into debt of millions of dollars in days or even minutes. But now, a few millions of dollars were nothing to him. He enjoyed it as a game. Then, Woosung had an idea. What if I buy Pine Tech and combined it with my current company? It's a well-established company with good employees. I should look into it. Woosung grinned. Amelia approached him and asked. Aaron, I'm almost done with the conversion to GPU. Do you want to have a look? Woosung rubbed his hands and stood up. Sure. Let's see. A few weeks later. Hundreds of computers arrived at the Silicon Valley factory. Server. CPU, Intel Core 2Q6600. Graphics card, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 295. Graphics card was $500 each. The CPU was about the same price. Other equipment cost about $1,500 each. Since he bought 500 units, it cost him $750,000 in total. It was an amazing price thanks to the effects of the financial crisis. After everything was installed, Woosung connected to the maintenance program he created. http://devops.kindcoin.com. When he entered his ID and password, he could look at the server statuses. Server status, 500 green. 0 red. Average, 0 m#/s. The output, 0 BTC. 500 green. All servers were working normally. The output was still 0 since mining hasn't started yet. Woosung clicked the button, full start. Click. 1 server starting. 2 servers starting. 3 servers starting. 500 servers starting. When the last server started, the average of 0 changed as well. 14 m#/s. Within a few minutes, the output changed too. The output 1.4121 BTC. The very first Bitcoin was mined. The output, 14,050.5910 BTC. Over 10,000 Bitcoins were made in a day. In 10 years, 1 Bitcoin could be sold for up to $20,000, which meant this was worth about $280 million on the screen. All in a single day. In one day, he made almost $300 million. More bitcoins were being made non-stop. Amelia stretched her arms and asked. Aaron, how does it look? Is the program working fine? It's too good. The program was running smoothly. It must have been Amelia's good work on GPU. The program was mining about 4,000 bitcoins more than he expected. 4,000 bitcoins were worth $80 million in the future. Woosung wondered. Should I share it with Amelia? No one other than Woosung knew how much these were worth in the future. I feel guilty taking everything. Currently, a bitcoin was worth nothing. In May 2010, a US programmer named Laszlo paid 10,000 bitcoins for 2 pizzas, and that was the beginning of Bitcoin valuation. As time passed, the value went up and was exchangeable for real money. Amelia smiled angelically. Phew, I'm relieved. I was worried that there may be a problem. Woosung flinched. He felt horrible for being so greedy. I don't think you need to worry. I know how bad the job market is now. I appreciate the great opportunity you gave me. Woosung was paying Amelia a yearly salary of $150,000. It was more than any other tech companies would pay for a new grad. It was better than even Google. Woosung laughed awkwardly. Ha ha ha, you deserve it, Amelia. What he was paying Amelia was nothing compared to how much she was making him. Woosung continued to feel guilty. Amelia made him feel even worse when she bowed to him. No, I really want to thank you for being so generous. I also appreciate the chance to learn cool things. Woosung swallowed and replied. Haha. Ha 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 ha, you just keep working hard. Good luck. Of course. I will now begin working on the Android framework. Oh, okay. Amelia went back to work. Woosung continued to monitor the Bitcoin production. The output, 14521.1240 BTC. Another 500 were mined in a few minutes. It was worth $10 million. Another news on Pine Tech was released. Disclosure of inquiry, prominent market fluctuation. It was a system by the Korean Stock Exchange to protect the average investors. Whenever there was a sudden change in a listed company, the shareholders were alerted. The current price of the Pine Tech stock was $16.10. The online discussion consisted of many comments regarding this company. The insiders are getting out. Everyone should sell their stocks too. I believe in Pine Tech time to go up. I talked to someone from the company. He said it was going up tomorrow. I bought at $21.50, I lost so much. Pine Tech ruined my life. The stock price was going down. The shareholders felt trapped. Woosung sold all his stocks when the price was between $15 to $20. With $5 million, he made $40 million. Perfect. It's going according to my plan. After checking the price again, Woosung headed to the San Francisco International Airport. He was ready to go back home. Incheon International Airport. As soon as Jang Guangchul saw Woosung, he ran towards him. Bro. Woosung awkwardly pushed him away. What's wrong? What took you so long? Jang Guangchul looked at Woosung accusingly and continued. June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and January. It has been 8 months. Tell me the truth. He grabbed Woosung's arm tightly, but Woosung was strong. Let me go first. Woosung pulled away easily. Jang Guangchul looked at Woosung as if he was being betrayed. His eyes started to well up. Hong Soo Bum, who was standing nearby, looked embarrassed by the situation. Let's go. We need to get out of here. We can talk in the car. Hong Soo Bum had a lot of questions for Woosung too. In Jang Guangchul's van, Woosung looked out the window. Korea. He was back. It was good to be home, but Woosung had no time to feel emotional. Jiang Guangchul and Hong Su Bum stared at him. It's a solid company. It would be beneficial for us to have it. I haven't bought it yet. I'm going to wait until it gets cheaper. Jiang Guangchul replied as soon as he finished. I looked into it, and it seems like all the insiders got out of it. Are you sure it's a good idea? It may be a small company, but it's still a company. The purchase price will be steep. Hong Su Bum seemed curious as well. Woosung answered. Don't you remember the financial crisis? I took advantage of it. Are you saying you made some money? Woosung nodded. How much? The company is probably worth over $30 million. There is no way you can afford it. Woosung opened his hand to show all 5 fingers. You made $50 million. Woosung shook his head and answered. More. $500 million. Nod. Jiang Guangchul and Hong Su Bum swallowed hard. It was an unbelievable amount. I shouldn't tell the actual amount just to be safe. He also couldn't disclose his plan with bitcoins as well. Woosung would purchase Pine Tech and merge it with his company in Silicon Valley. When it becomes an open hardware company, Pine Tech's stock price would surely rise. Jiang Guangchul murmured in disbelief. Oh my gosh. You are rich now. Super rich. Really? It doesn't feel like it yet. Woosung said with an awkward humility. Jiang Guangchul asked carefully. Do you have all of it in cash? When Woosung nodded, both Jiang Guangchul and Hong Su Bum gawked at him. Most rich people had the majority of their wealth in assets such as buildings and stocks. It was uncommon for a person to have this much cash. Hong Su Bum murmured behind his breath. He's beyond super rich. Woosung thought to himself with a lion's pride. Actually, I have about $1 billion, and it's going to be more in the future. He didn't say it out loud though. So you want to own more of our company? Yes. I'm the one who came up with the smartphone idea. I can buy you out completely if you want. Huh. Are you saying you don't need me anymore? Huh, of course, I need you as a person, but I don't need you for the money. Jiang Guangchul blinked his eyes in surprise. Hong Su Bum also stared at Woosung in shock. Woosung continued. I told you. I have $500 million in cash, but I have more in other forms. Bitcoins. Big-name stocks such as Apple and Amazon. Even Woosung was starting to have difficulty figuring out how much assets he had. He finally arrived home. Ring. When he rang the doorbell, the door opened quickly. Woosung. His mom called out to him. Woosung felt emotional. I'm home, Mom. Oh my goodness. What have you been doing all this time? You lost so much weight. He actually didn't lose any weight. After September, he has been staying at an expensive hotel and enjoying fancy food. That's not true. I ate well. I actually gained a little bit of weight. But you didn't get to eat Korean food. Come in quickly. Dinner's ready. Woosung followed in. His father hugged him tight and they started to enjoy their dinner. Woosung felt content to be finally home. After dinner, it was time for presents. Woosung gave his parents extravagant gifts he bought in US. They chatted with so much glee. Woosung was the only child, and his parents missed him terribly. They were happy to see him back. After opening all the presents, Woosung brought out a map. I have one last gift for you. Really? What's with the map? The map was of Seoul. Both his parents' eyes widened. Woosung pointed at the map and asked. Pick an area you want to live in. Kim Un-young became confused. What? Pick a neighborhood you like, and I will buy you the most expensive house in that area. What? They understood him, but they still couldn't believe him. Woosung smiled. Or I can get you a real estate agent, so you can be shown around a few places. As long as it is under $5 million, you can get any house you want. His father spewed out the water he was drinking. His mother gaped at him. Woosung continued calmly. And I will hire a maid, so you don't have to worry about housework anymore. His mother stammered. Woosung, what are you talking about? I don't understand. I made a lot of money in America. I remember you saying you hoped to someday open a small cafe as a retirement plan. Why don't we buy you a building? The first floor can be used as your coffee shop. His father continued to stare at him. You can run the place and live at the top floor of the building. Kim Un-young was speechless. Woosung assured them again. So I think that would total about $10 million. Anyway, don't worry about the money. Get anything you want, Mom and Dad. What? Haha. It's simple. Your son is rich now, so you don't ever have to worry about money. His parents seemed to want an explanation, but Woosung continued to be vague about how he became rich. Woosung didn't know a real estate agent, so he asked Jang Guangchul to recommend someone. Jang Guangchul knew real estate industry very well, so he introduced Woosung to someone he knew. They toured the expensive neighborhoods in Seoul. At the end, Woosung picked Garosugil and Itaewon. 10 years from now, these two areas were going to be hot neighborhoods. Jang Guangchul looked at Woosung and asked. Little bro, did you study real estate? No. They just look good. I have a good feeling about them. Really? I see. Then I should buy a building here as well. What? Remember what I told you before? You smell like money. I'll bet the places you picked will become big in the future. Woosung flinched but tried to act normally. Ha ha ha. Whatever you want, but don't blame me if you lose money on it. Kim Un-young asked suddenly. Woosung. Are you sure this is okay? The real estate agent said this is $5 million. That's fine. So we can all agree that this building is the one for us? The real estate agent answered quickly. You made the right choice. This area is going to develop very soon. You are also buying at the right time. Because of the financial crisis, the prices have gone down significantly. Woosung already knew Itaewon was going to be the hot place for young Koreans in the future. Then I guess that's that. Now, let's go to Apgujeong to look at places to live. How about Hyundai apartment? The agent answered quickly. I have the perfect place for you. It has been undated recently. You also get a great view of Han River. There is also a great park within a 10-minute walk. Again, it's for sale at a great price because of the crisis. Woosung answered. Let's go and have a look. As the agent promised, it was a luxurious apartment. It was a 30-year-old place, but it was updated to look clean and modern. It was over 2,000 square feet. Kim Un-young exclaimed constantly. It's so amazing. Look, you can see the river from the master bedroom. Look at the beautiful wallpapers. They are so shiny. The agent added a modest response to their awe. The owner works in the interior design business, so he only used the best material for this apartment. It is rare to find an apartment where you can see the river from so many rooms. The price is also dirt cheap. It's only $2.5 million. Kim Un-young stammered at the price. $2.5 million. It is a rare price for this area. This place will be bought as soon as possible. If you won't decide now, you will lose it by tomorrow. Woosung liked the place. It was close to his office too. Woosung asked the agent. Then let's get this place for my parents. Do you have another one similar to this? I plan to get my own place too. Jang Guangchul gasped. Wow, you really did make a lot of money. Haha, of course. Did you think I lied about it? The agent smiled broadly. Oh, of course. Should we go have a look now? That day, Woosung bought 2 apartments and a business building. In total, he spent $10 million. He still had $110 million left in his Korean bank account. The interest alone from this was $200,000 per month. He never had to worry about money ever again. Usually, such big real estate purchases took months. Payments were often made in steps, but Woosung paid the total up front immediately. He hired a lawyer right away and the transaction was completed within a few days. He also bought furniture and further upgraded the houses to perfection. When Woosung and his parents went furniture shopping, they kept asking him every time they picked a piece. "Are you sure it's okay for us to spend so much money? Don't worry. I get at least $100,000 in interest a month." After a little while, his parents stopped asking. Woosung decided not to be completely honest with his parents in terms of how much money he had. He had much more than he disclosed, and he felt it was better for them to not know the whole truth. In a week, they were moved into their homes. It was Monday again and Woosung rode the subway to work. He hadn't hired a personal chauffeur yet, but he planned to soon. It was faster to ride the public transit than driving the car Jang Guangchul gave him. The traffic often was horrible during rush hours. His office, KND, was situated in Tehran. When he entered, he saw a familiar face. Yoon Gwon quit Nuri Finances some times ago and was working for Woosung. "Long time no see, General Manager Yoon." "Oh, it's you, President." "Hello." Yoon Gwon felt awkward calling Woosung president, but this was the reality. He now worked for Woosung at KND Financial Company, which specialized in algorithm trading. It has been 4 months since he joined this company. "Yes. I am back now. Thank you so much for holding down the fort for so long." Woosung was indeed the boss. Yoon Gwon was responsible for maintaining Woosung's trading system on Nuri Finance's IDC and the system that was made for Jang Guangchul. His yearly salary was $100,000.